Now, there are a lot of big men projected to go at the top of this draft, but none of them can fit the modern NBA more than Jaren Jackson. Don't even let his numbers at MSU fool you. This is a guy who was a 7-footer who can hit 40% of his threes, posted elite shot blocking numbers in 21 minutes per game. If this were a big board, I think that he would be number 2 over Ayton because his skill set, to me, is just more complete.
My bitch drive a all white rank. Couldn't hit it if them niggas had ain't. Lanes can't call and you lame. You had it and you lost all the shine. I can buy a Billy, don't talk to me. For a show 150, don't talk to me.
YouTube, what's going on? It is your boy Young Mustard, and today we are here to talk about one of my low-key favorite players and one of my favorite rookies in the NBA draft this past draft, and that is Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren Jackson Jr. was the 4th overall pick in this past recent NBA draft, and I don't really know why necessarily, but I think it might have to do with the rookies this season, such as Luka Doncic, Ayton, and also Trae Young making their own way and having really good, outstanding rookie years. But he's been pretty overlooked, and I think his impact on the court is much more than a lot of people realize, and I definitely think that he can be an all-star in the NBA. And today we're going to discuss 4 reasons why he can do so. But before we go on with this video, make sure you're following me on Twitter and Instagram. The links are down below. Also, you guys, drop a like down below if you like this video. Comment your opinions down below if you agreed or disagreed with anything that I said. Also, you guys, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified, and to be in the giveaway, make sure you follow me on Twitter or on Instagram and at me or DM me your first and last name, and you'll be entered in a giveaway that you will win an NBA gift card for $50. 2 winners will be announced on April 20th. So without further ado, let's get on with this video. Number 4, expectations. Now, honestly, I think one of the biggest reasons why people fail in the NBA or are viewed as a failure in the NBA and as bust is because we set the bar so high for these young players that it's utterly ridiculous. Point in case, Andrew Wiggins, calling him the next Kobe or the next LeBron or the next Tracy McGrady or Kawhi Leonard is just too high of expectations for a player that, honestly, for one, he's young, so it's really disrespectful to compare him to all-time greats. And if he even falls below those players' caliber and doesn't become a multiple-time All-Star and a Hall of Famer, he's viewed as a bust because he didn't live up to the expectations. But maybe if you lowered the expectations, he wouldn't be looked at as a bust. And I think the reason that Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be such a great player is because of the fact that no one's putting these ridiculous expectations on him to become like the next Hakeem or the next Anthony Davis or the next, other all-time great player. And it may be due to the fact that he is in a situation such as Memphis where they didn't really need some all-star point guard or they didn't need some all-star forward or anything like that. I mean, whatever reason it may be, I think it's going to be very beneficial to his career as an NBA player. Number 3, flexibility. I think when it comes to Jaren Jackson Jr., one of the best things about his game is his flexibility. At times when you watch him play, sometimes they line him up at the center position, sometimes at the power forward position, and even sometimes I see him line up at the small forward position. Believe it or not, Jaren Jackson Jr. is a very flexible player. And in a league where you have players that are going to be playing multiple positions at times, sometimes switching on pick and rolls and things like that, it's very good to have someone like a Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, we're entering a golden age where you got people at the point guard position such as Luka Doncic, Ben Simmons, and to have someone like Jaren Jackson Jr. who can be flexible, not to the length of those players, that I'm not saying he's going to be bringing the ball down the court and playing the point guard for the majority of the time, but I definitely think flexibility in this era is going to be very important. And you can look at his flexibility on the court as well. Sometimes they could put him at the three-point line, sometimes they could put him in the paint, and because of his ability to stretch the floor, it really helps that offense. I suggest you go watch some Memphis games because you can really see his impact even when he doesn't have the ball. The fact that he can stretch the floor and stretch that defense out is a great thing, and I definitely think that's something for him going forward. And also you can look at other things that he does on the court. He can shoot the mid-range game when he needs to. He can go to the paint when he needs to. Sure, he can add some post moves to his game. I definitely think that's something that he should add, but his primary thing is to stretch the floor and defend, and we'll get to the defense later on in this video. But I definitely think that Jaren Jackson Jr. has all the potential in the world, and one of the biggest reasons is due to his flexibility on the court. Number 2, great situation. Now I think out of all the teams that could have picked Jaren Jackson Jr., this is probably the best situation and scenario for him. You could argue the Dallas Mavericks simply for the fact that they were looking for a big man for so long. But other than that, honestly, I think that this is the best situation for him. And it's really because the team is not expecting him to be some all-star caliber player immediately or soon. I mean, when you look at all the other players drafted in the top 5 and even in the top 10, players such as DeAndre Ayton, Luka Doncic, other players such as Trae Young, Colin Sexton, and even you can go further down the list, players such as Michael Porter Jr. I'm sure the Nuggets are expecting a lot from him if he's healthy, because going into this draft, he was supposed to be one of the top 3 picks had it not been for that back surgery that he had. So I definitely think that when you consider the fact that the Memphis Grizzlies are not rushing him to be something that he realistically is not, and other people are not as well, that also adds as a positive to the situation that he's in. And I definitely think that when you look at the organization as a whole, they've developed some really solid players. Players such as Marc Gasol and Mike Conley are the primary ones. And even when you look at Zach Randolph, even though Zach Randolph was a really good player even before he got to Memphis, but I definitely think that his better years were spent when he was in Memphis because his numbers led to more wins. But getting back to Jaren Jackson Jr., another thing that I like about the situation is the teammates that he has around him. Players such as Mike Conley and even Marc Gasol before he got traded, I definitely think they instilled in him that grit and grind mentality that the Memphis Grizzlies have had for so many years. And I definitely think defensively they have helped him as well by mentoring him and instilling in him some of those defensive intangibles that those players have brought to the game. So I definitely think that when you look at the roster and the organization as a whole, this is probably the most ideal situation that I think Jaren Jackson Jr. could be in, and hopefully it serves as a positive for his career going forward. Number 1, defense. Now honestly, I think this is the biggest reason why I think Jaren Jackson Jr. can become a star. And it's not just because of the fact that his offensive ability has so much potential, but on the defensive side of the ball, I honestly think that he can win a Defensive Player of the Year. I really do believe that. I do believe he will be an All-NBA defender if he continues to improve. I mean, honestly, that's just a given. The guy is so great on the defensive side of the ball, and honestly, you could even make the debate that he's already the best defender on that team when you consider his value to the defensive side of the ball. Not only does he defend the rim at a near elite level already, but he switches on pick and rolls. He can literally defend all positions on the court. He can defend centers and power forwards in the paint. Like I said earlier, he can defend the rim at a near elite level. He can switch on pick and rolls and defend point guards, shooting guards, and even some wing players. I've seen him stay in front of point guards and shooting guards and small forwards even when they do isolations. The guy is a beast on the defensive side of the ball, and honestly, in an era where you're going to need the defense that Jaren Jackson Jr. brings to the table and his flexibility on the defensive side of the ball, defending the rim, defending the perimeter, and even some of the mid-range shots with his length especially, that makes him very, very valuable. And in addition to that, I honestly truly believe that we have not seen a rookie player have this kind of impact on the defensive side of the ball since Anthony Davis. And honestly, if he continues this pace, I think he could even be a better defender than Anthony Davis. Yes, I know that's a little bit too much stock I'm putting in Jaren Jackson Jr., but I do think he will live up to those expectations. I think he can not only be one of the top 3 to 5 defenders in the NBA, but I think he can become the best defender in the NBA. And I think a Defensive Player of the Year award is definitely something that he could be seeing in the near future. And honestly, that to me alone makes that the #1 reason why I think that Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to become an all-star in this league.